So for this mock exercise, we're going to do another analysis and reporting of inventory using both periodic and perpetual inventory system for a company called Frida. So let's take a look at this simple question. And again, we're going to try to highlight the differences between the perpetual versus periodic inventory system under both the FIFO and the average method. So here you're given the following information for the month of October for Frida, and we're going to assume that any return inventory is undamaged and goes back to inventory for resale. So here we've given you both the purchases, the return, and the sales returns as well. Let's analyze each of the transactions. So maybe I might want to start using, maybe I should use the perpetual under the average method. Maybe that might be the best thing to do. It doesn't matter. So why don't I do FIFO actually? Okay? So we're going to use, so the first analysis is perpetual FIFO. Okay? So again, I like to use a chart because I just think that the chart's much easier. And usually I've got the date here. And I've got purchases, cost of goods sold, so I'm going to short form that, and then ending inventory. So again, on October 1st, we had a beginning inventory, and that one was 60 units times 24 to give us 1,440. On October the 9th, we had a purchased, and we bought 125 units at $26 per unit. That's $3,250. And the ending inventory is 60 at 24 plus 125 at 26. Okay, so that gives us 4,690. Now, our first is, we have a return. October the 12th. So purchase return, I'm going to put PR. We return 10 units. Okay? And we're going to return it back to inventory. So we're going to reverse it out at $26 because we return it to our supplier. And of course, it's going to be returned from that 125, right? So under the FIFO, we always like to keep track of our purchases. So we know that our ending inventory is now 115. So that was 125 less 10 is 115 at 26. And that should give us 4,430. Okay? Now we have a sale on October the 15th. Stands for an S, sales. And we sold 150 units, so 150 units. We know that under the FIFO, 60 units comes from the $24. And that means that 90 units that make up 150 comes from the $26. Okay, so 90 times 26 gives me 2,340. 60 times 24 gives me 1,440. So my cost of goods sold is 3,780. Now, my ending inventory, the 60 is gone, 90 of the 115 is gone, so I have left is 25 units at $26. So 25 times 26 gives me $650. That's my ending inventory. Now, what's next is we had a return. On October 16, we had a sales return of 5 units. And we're going to assume that that 5 units was returned at $26, the more, right? Because FIFO means first in, first out, which means all of those beginning inventories were sold, and now we got the return from the October 9th purchase. So this one is minus $26. So 5 times 26. That's going to be at $130. Okay, and then that means that our goods are 30 at 26. Our ending inventory is 30 at 26. 780. Now, on October 20th, we purchased 70 units at $27 per unit. That's $18.90. Our ending inventory is 30 at 26 plus 70 at 27. Altogether, we should have $26.70 ending inventory. Then we have a sale on the 29th of October. And we sold how many units? 75 units. So 30 comes from the 26. And to make up the 75, right? That means that 45 comes from the $27. So that's the cost of goods sold. That means that our ending inventory, that 30 is gone, and what we have left is 70 less 45 is 25 units left at $27 each is $675. That's our ending inventory. So altogether, on October 30th, our total purchases is we bought 125 minus 10 is 115 plus 70 is 185 units, right? And the total is 4880. Our cost of goods sold is we sold 150 less 5, so 145 plus we sold another 75, so we sold 220 units altogether. And the total cost of goods sold is 3780 plus 1995 minus 130 gives me 5645. And my ending inventory is 25 units at $675 together. That is perpetual FIFO. Now I'm going to do perpetual average just to show and compare. Again, perpetual average I'm going to actually do the same chart, but I'm going to modify the chart a little bit. I'm going to have date, number of units, unit cost, total dollar. So starting with beginning inventory, which is October 1st, number of units, 60. Unit cost is $24. The total is 1440. First transaction is a purchase on October the 9th. And we bought 125 units. And it was $26 each. And again, I like to always do a subtotal. Every time there's a transaction under the average method, always do a subtotal. So now we've got 185. The total is 4690. And if I take 4690, divide it by 185, I get an average cost of $25.3516. Now, what happens on the 12? We have a purchase return. And we return how many units? 10. And of course, the 10 units that were returned we would use the average of that return. So 25.3516. So 253.516. So the per unit cost is 175. The number of units is 175. And the total cost is $44,36.486. And the per unit cost of that one should be the same, 225.3516 per unit. So let's just make that 49 cents. So 0.49. Now, on the 15th, we had a sale. And we sold how many units? 150 units. We're going to use the average. So 25.3516 times 150 is 3802.74. This is cost of goods sold. That means I got 25 units left. Subtract that from 4436.49. I got 633.75, and the per unit cost should be 25.3516. Let me double check that. Yeah, okay. On the 16th, we had a sales return of 5 units, so we're going to add it back. So 5 times 25.3516 is 126.750. This is 760.50, and the per unit cost should still be 35.3516. There's obviously a bit of rounding in there, right? And this is cost of goods sold. So the cost of goods sold is 150 less 5. Then we had a purchase of 70 units, and that was $27. So 27 times 70 is 1890. So I need to add that. So 1890 plus 760.50 is 2650.50 divided by 100 is 26.51 per unit. Okay? And then on the 29th, we sold 75 units, leaving us only 25 left. And of course, we're going to use 2651. Is 1988.25 is the cost of goods sold. 26.51 is the per unit cost. And this is 662.25. So total cost of goods sold is, we know that it's 3802.74 minus 126.75 plus 1988.25. So 3802.74 plus 1988.25 minus 126.75 gives me 5664.24. So that's total cost of goods sold, and this is total ending inventory. So let me make sure I add this one right. 3802.74 minus 126.75 plus 1988.25. Yep, that's correct. Okay, so under the perpetual average, you've got to constantly calculate the average, the weighted average at each purchase return, and each sale. When you're dealing with FIFO, perpetual, what you've got to do is for every sale, you've got to figure out where that unit, from what batch that unit came from. So the first sale was 150 units. We had to figure out that that first 60 must have come from the beginning inventory, and the remaining 90 came from the October 9th purchased. Okay, so that is perpetual. Now let's look at the periodic. So periodic inventory system So again, let me remind you about the equations. So beginning plus purchase gives you goods available for sale. That's important to calculate for periodic. And ending inventory and cost of goods sold. So we know that goods available for sale, if it's not in ending inventory, it's got to be in cost of goods sold. So why don't we calculate goods available for sale? So again, let's do the chart. Date, number of units, total cost, So the date, so the first one is October 1st, beginning inventory. We had 60 units, 1440, the total. Then we had several purchases, the 9th. We bought 125 at $26 per unit. That gives us $32.50. Then we had a return of 10 units at $26 because it was $26. Then we had another purchases, 70 units at $1890. So together, goods available for sale is we had 245 units, and the total is 6320. Now, how many ending inventories do we have left? What is our total ending inventory? We had 25 ending inventory. So under periodic, and we're going to use, FIFO. We know that this one, we have 25 units left, right? Ending inventory. That 25 units must have come from the October 22nd purchased. And that October 22nd purchase is at $27 per unit. So ending inventory is 25 times 27 gives me 675. So ending inventory is 25, 675. That means that cost of goods sold has got to be 225, and the number of units, the total, is 675 less 6320 is 5645. So under the periodic FIFO, it's really simple. We have to calculate goods available for sale. We've got to do that. That's important. Then we need to figure out how many units are left. And when we're looking at all of our analysis, we realize there's only 25 units left in the ending inventory. Because it's FIFO, we have to figure out that 25 must have, remaining must have come from the latest purchase, which was purchased at $27 each. So that's why we're going to multiply 27, the per unit cost. So that is $675. And that means that the cost of goods sold got to be the difference. Now, if we're doing periodic average, we need to calculate the average for the period, right? How do we do that? Is we take goods available for sale divided by 245 units. So this is gas, right? Goods available for sale. That gives us an average of 25.7959. Again, you could have rounded up to $25.80. Okay? Now, ending inventory. So we know that gas, number and dollar, is 245 and 6320. That means that ending inventory we know was 25 units. Multiply 25.7959. This is 644.89 or 90. That means that cost of goods sold is the difference between the two. This is 5675.10. So there's kind of a bit of a different in calculation. So you can see that periodic inventory is much easier, isn't it? much easier because you just have to calculate all goods available for sale. So you have to figure out what were all the purchases, right? What was the beginning was all the purchases to give you goods available for sale. And from there, we can use this information to determine FIFO or average. For FIFO, we need to calculate the ending inventory, number of units. We know there were 25 left from our analysis. That 25 units left allows us to say, okay, under FIFO, that must have come from the most recent purchase, so that we're going to use the price of $27. So by knowing ending inventory, we can subtract it from goods available for sale to come up with cost of goods sold. Under the average method, periodic, you'll see that we need to calculate GAS, goods available for sale, to allow us to calculate the per unit cost, the average cost of all of the goods available for sale. That average cost is what we're going to use to calculate ending inventory and cost of goods sold. Thank you.